All right, hello people. Today we're doing lesson 156. I walk with God in perfect holiness. And there's 8 paragraphs, so let's try 2 at a time and see what happens. I'll go ahead and begin. I walk with God in perfect holiness. Today's idea but states the simple truth that makes the thought of sin impossible. It promises there is no cause for guilt, and being causeless, it does not exist. It follows surely from the basic thought so often mentioned in the text. Ideas leave not their source. If this be true, how can you be apart from God? How could you walk the world alone and separate from your source? Paragraph 2. We are not inconsistent in the thoughts that we present in our curriculum. Truth must be true throughout, if it be true. It cannot contradict itself, nor be parts uncertain and others sure. You cannot walk the world apart from God, because you cannot be without him. He is what your life is. Where you are, he is. There is one life. That life you share with him. Nothing can be a part of from him and live. Samir is lesson 156. And we're doing the first 2 paragraphs. Okay, so I walk with God in perfect holiness. In the second part of sentence number 3, ideas leave not their source. Okay. Imagine God thought. Okay. And that thought became you, right? So you are in essence God's thought, and God is love, and therefore you are in essence the physical expression of love on earth. And so I want you to imagine when you tell a story to a friend, okay? You tell a story to a friend, and that story stays with your friend, but it also remains within you. And it's actually reinforced inside of you because you told the story. But your friend gets to take the story with him, and he can retell that story. And so that's who we are. We're that story from God. And therefore, we are who we are now, but we have never left our source, the main storyteller. And so we came from God, and so we're always with God because God is who we are inside of us, the truth in us. And so ideas leave not their source. And so you've never left God. The story you told your friend, it never leaves you. So you have never left God. And so whenever you feel separate from source, offering expressions that are less than love, just know that that's not the truth in you doing so. It's actually the truth in you that has forgotten who he or she truly is. And that's why you express yourself in that fashion. And so you have never left your source, which is God, who is God. And sentence number 5, paragraph 1. How could you walk the world alone and separate from your source? You can't. Because you're the extension of your source. And your source is still within you because he is who you are. And so there are a lot of times people feel separate from God. Right? And it's not because they're separate from God. It's simply because they're focused on the delusion as real. They're focused on the story as real. When you focus on the story as and the delusion as real, on the ego's mindset and tools as real, then you shift your consciousness from what's true to the dream. And so you're focused on the dream, even though you're still what's true. And so you can't see what's true because you're focused on the dream. And so to recall who you truly are, you don't have to worry about the dream. You just have to focus back on what's true. Anyway, Maite, we're doing lesson 156, page 294. Any comments or questions?
I do.
Yes.
Well, my comment is that it's a collective delusion. So it makes it harder to step away from it. It's not individual. The world sees it this way. And most major religions also see it this way, as separateness existing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it makes it a little harder to fight it when everything supports the delusion and you have to fight your way out of it, kind of thing, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it feels like it's the world conspires toward delusion. And so it seems like we're the crazy ones saying, no, this isn't real. You know what I'm saying?
The world of separation this is a collective illusion. And within the collective illusions, there's more and more separation. Not one of us invented this world. We all did. And within this world, there is more separation. This is, it's not like this world exists in my mind. This world exists in our mind. We believe, we made it up as what the course calls the sonship, the one Son of God, the sonship. We all are the one creation of God.
Yeah, so you've never left your source, right? So we always talk about oneness and duality. Okay. Within duality, we have created these things called religions. Okay. To navigate duality in the best way we could figure it out, And so our job is to bring oneness into duality to help people remember that duality is not truly real. Oneness is real. And so when let's say you focus on joy, right? You bring joy into the duality, into the ego's mindset and story. And people, even though they're in duality, somewhere they recognize that joy that comes from oneness belongs to them too. And so when you speak, when you're joyous, there's something in them that says, you know what? Yeah, this is kind of right. It's much more true than this duality that I'm experiencing. This frustration and anxiousness and fear and doubt and sadness and pain. And so there is another way. There is a better way. And that's to focus on the truth. If you try to fight the delusion, okay, you know how when you're well, maybe you don't, but when you're in a nightmare, okay, and you're running from the monster in the nightmare, you keep running fast because you think the monster is real. And so, yeah, you run and run and run. The monster's after you. But if you recognize for a second that you're actually just dreaming, the monster doesn't scare you anymore. And so you stop in the nightmare and you face the monster because you know the monster's not real, and the nightmare dissolves away. And so that's what we're here to do. We're here to remind our brothers and sisters that the nightmare is not true or real. And so this is what it's saying. God is always within you. And so when you're not recognizing that, just recognize that you're in the nightmare and wake up from the nightmare. Use the recognition that you're in the nightmare to triggering you the desire to wake up from the nightmare. You don't have to keep on running, because that's the difficult part. Keep running from the monster. Guess what? If you're running from the monster, you think the monster is real, you're going to keep on running. And it's going to seem like a pretty difficult experience.
Well, I
But
think more what I was trying to say is, like, I've been reading The Disappearance of the Universe, and there's this one part that's sticking with me because it's you're talking about it here, which is the beings who visit the author tell him that we've created this delusion ourselves, and that everything we put in here repeats that individual conflict and repeats that conflict of separation. And what I found so interesting is, even things that we think of as natural and beautiful and part of the natural order reflect that, because in the book it was talking about how giving birth, even, it's reflected in the natural order, but really, what is that? That's the separation of the child from the parent immediately when you're born. That's your first separation. And death, separation. And, like, it just goes over and over all of the things, divorce, even, they say that we keep trying to join ourselves, join bodies, sex, whatever else, but it's not possible here. That's because it's all a reflection of what you're talking about, which is our delusion of separateness, and us trying to do things to heal something that doesn't actually exist. So I don't know. I just find it interesting, because even things that we think of as beautiful and natural really do actually reflect separation.
yeah, it depends through which lens you view it through. If you view something beautiful through the ego's lens, then it will be used by the ego to try to make you believe in separation. If you view the beautiful thing through love's lens, then you see the unity and the union of all things. And so, yeah, as long as you're in duality, you're going to believe in separation, because you're going to view the world through that ego's lens of separation. But when you start to see the world through love's lens and see how everything so perfectly fits, and you can look at your past and how it seemed out of place, or an experience you did not want, and probably you did not want it in your mind within duality. You did not want that experience if it was dark or whatever. But in oneness, oneness understands that this experience, which duality calls dark, is going to use to help heal and awaken this world. And so oneness does not see the duality in the darkness. Oneness just sees the darkness as part of the reason why you came into duality, to show others that they can overcome that darkness. And so oneness sees the union on all things, while duality tries to separate that from the life you think you want. If that makes sense. Any other comments or questions? All right. Would somebody like to read number 3 and 4?
I'd be happy to.
All right.
Yet where he is, there must be holiness as well. Rather, wait a minute. Yet where he is, there must be holiness as well as life. No attribute of his remains unshared by everything that lives. What lives is holy as himself, because what shares his life is part of holiness, and could no more be sinful than the sun could choose to be of ice. The sea elect to be apart from water, or the grass to grow with roots suspended in the air. There is a light in you which cannot die, whose presence is so holy that the world is sanctified because of you. All things that live bring gifts to you, and offer them in gratitude and gladness at your feet. The scent of flowers is their gift to you. The waves bow down before you, and the trees extend their arms to shield you from the heat and lay their leaves before you on the ground that you may walk in softness, while the wind sinks to a whisper round your holy head. It sounds so pretty. The first thing that comes to mind is just a reminder that the word holy means whole, that holiness is a sign of wholeness. And as we talk about oneness, what comes to mind for me, I think of air. It's a tangible thought tangible thought, but I can't be separate from the air. I breathe. I have to breathe to live. There's no way I can't live without this air. I have to breathe. The same way I'm breathing, you're breathing too, and we're all breathing the same air. COVID was proof of that. I walk past you, and you breathe. I breathe a breath. I don't stop breathing, but now you're breathing too. I don't lose air because you're breathing, but we're all breathing the same air. I'm just making that comparison in terms of the oneness with a tangible thing. But that's it. Ideas don't leave their source. You brought that up, Jane. Well, I'll come back to that where that says in the course. I'm complete for now.
Okay. Yeah, it's sentence number 1, paragraph 3. Yet where he is, where God is, there must be holiness as well as life. And so it's saying, and within oneness, everything here is in reality a reflection of that oneness. God is in everything. God is in the air. God is in the water that massages your back when you're when you're in the ocean through its waves. God is in the grass that softens your path. God is in everything. God is in each moment. If you truly see the moment as it was meant for you to experience and enjoy. And so it's here saying that in everything, God is. And so wherever you go, there is God. There is a possibility for God. And all you have to do is remember this as true. God is in all things. God is in all interactions. I just have to look God's way to have that peace of mind and joy and appreciation for life. If I look away from truth, from God, within the moment, then yeah, I might see the dream. And if I focus on the dream, then I might think of it as real. But all you have to do in each and every moment or interaction is shift away from the dream. Shift away from the judgment of self and others. Shift away from the anger and resentment and guilt and shame. And come back to understanding that because God is in each moment, because God is in each person, because God is in each interaction, this here is also going to be used to prove that the whole is real, and that there is no separation.
So according to this, there is no death either?
Well, yeah, within the understanding of eternity, there is no death. Yes.
Because we're not talking about bodies. We're not talking about bodies here.
Right.
We're talking about our essence. We're talking about our essence, and that's eternal.
Yeah, let me make a comment about levels. The course talks in 2 levels. One is level 1 or level of oneness, and 2 is the level of duality or level 2. And it says this course remains within the ego framework where it is needed. Tells you in level 1, nothing is needed. We're a part of God. There is no Course in Miracles. You don't need a Course in Miracles. There's in one place it says God is, and then you cease to speak. The purpose of the course is to help us within this ego framework, within this level 2 or level of duality, to be able to function as a reflection of love. You know,
Yes.
and it also tells us that we're not going to understand level one as long as we believe we're separate. As long as we believe we are separate, we're not really going to understand these concepts of God and eternity and all this stuff. It's just an intellectual concept that we can use in this world, and that tells us it must be true because I see the results of it. I see that my life is more peaceful, my life is happier. It's still a dream, it's not real, but it changes from a nightmare to a happy dream. And it's that happiness that is the only reality there is in this world.
Yeah, sentence number one of paragraph 4. There is a light in you which cannot die, whose presence is so holy that the world is sanctified because of you. So wherever you go, the world is sanctified. All things, sentence number 2, all things that live brings gifts to you. So within every experience, there's a gift for you. And offer them in gratitude and gladness at your feet. And so if you see your experience through the lens of love, through the eyes of God, you start to see the gift within every situation and every interaction and every person that God sends your way. You can use the situation to simply help you remember who you truly are and what you're meant to be doing here on earth, which is to be this eternal light. And by being the eternal light, reminding all others that same eternal light exists within all of them. When somebody judges you and you forgive them, you show them that eternal light. When somebody tries to condemn you and you instead offer them compassion, you're showing them another way. You're showing them oneness instead of duality. You're showing them the eternal life instead of death. And so in every moment you can do that. Every interaction you can do that. You have free will. You can represent eternal life in any moment, or you can represent death in any moment. You can represent the light which God created you to be, or you can represent the darkness. And that's your choice. But remember, the choice for the light is always available to you. The choice to be the light is always just one simple choice away. And so heaven, in essence, is always one simple choice away. And so when you're living in the hellish state of mind, don't see it as quicksand. Don't fight it. Because if you fight quicksand, you'll sink deeper into it. Okay? And that's what the ego wants. The ego wants you to sink in and to fight it, so you can sink into its little swampland. But no, all you have to do is recognize the pit. In the Bible it says, "Shall the blind lead the blind? Will they not fall both into the pit?" And so the ego is the blind, and you've been programmed to go behind the blind, and then you wonder why you fall into the ditch. And so if you're in the ditch, if you lack peace or joy, then know what happened. What happened was simply that you followed the blind. And that's where you are. You're in the ditch. Simply recognize you're somewhere you do not belong. And like the Course says, simply choose once again. Choose once again. Now look at the ditch. Now look at the hole. And now walk around the hole. Yeah. And so, yes, imagine with a heavenly state of mind, there's always one simple choice away. No matter how complicated the delusion seems to be, no matter how dark the nightmare seems to be, the light, God, love, is just one simple choice away. Like a course says, I can have peace instead of this. That's all you have to say. I can have peace instead of this. Comments or questions?
That paragraph 4 is pretty profoundly aggrandizing, but in kind of a beautiful way, because I'm just looking at the imagery and the personification of nature because I have to, because I'm an English professor. But this pretty much mimics the idea of Eden, where human beings like had dominion over everything else, because look at what it's saying happens. It says you're so powerful, you're so holy that nature bends to you. And that is, sort of the opposite of how we think of ourselves. Cannot control nature. Nature is far more powerful than humans. But in this vision of us, it makes us very godlike.
Yeah, and all they're doing is being of service to you. Flowers want to be of service to you. The waves want to be of service to you. Because their waves are just an expression of love in a liquid form. Flowers are just an expression of love in a colorful form and with a beautiful smell. And so they're all here to serve you. And so that's the example that you have to remember and become of service to others, not to the self.
Is sanctified used here to mean made holy?
There is light in you which cannot die, whose presence is so holy that the world is sanctified because of you. Yeah, the world is made clean again because of you. But yeah, you have the opportunity to bring God into each and every moment, and by doing so, bring the light of the world into each and every moment. And when the world is able to see that, the heavenly state occurs.
So, James, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, how do I apply this to real world situation where I have a habit of taking things very personally? Someone said this, or I didn't achieve what I could in work. I just take it on myself very personally, very hard. So, if God is in me, how can I be taking it personally?
That's because you're not taking it personally. It's your ego who's taking it personally. You're never taking those things personally. It's because your ego is in control of your mind that you seem to be taking it personally. It's not the truth in you who's taking things personally. The truth in you knows that everything is a gift from God to you. And so if the truth in you was in control of your mind, then you would have misperceived the situation in that form. And so your misperception, let your misperception be a sign that you are not in control of your mind. You are not in control of your thoughts. If you are not in control of your thoughts in your mind, you're not in control of your life or experience on this planet. And so you get tossed around like a little tennis ball on the ocean. But if you recall that everyone is always offering you what you want to hear so you can choose to awaken, so you can choose to forgive instead of judge, so you can choose to show that there can be compassion instead of condemnation, that you can trust God instead of your fears and doubts. When you do so, then your true mind is in control, is back in control. And when the love in you is back in control, the loving light in you is back in control, and you're seeing the world through love's lens, the world is not going to affect you in that manner. And so all you have to do is, when you're being affected in that manner, simply recognize that you're viewing the world through a lens that does not belong to you. It's just a program that you bought as true. All you got to do is take those little glasses off, put them down, the ego's lens down, pick up love's lens and know that if you listen with your truth, everything else is love or a call for love. And you answer love with love, or you answer a call for love with love. And so you're always answering with love, even if it's love or a call for love. And so how would you experience, or how do you think you would experience your situation differently if you chose to see it through love's lens instead? If you consciously chose that, tell me what you think you would experience. Tell
I,
me,
I,
tell me how you experience it now, and then if you choose to shift lenses, how would you experience it?
well, the way I experience now is like if I didn't achieve what I was trying to do with work, I was like, okay, you screwed up, and it's like a blanket statement. You can't get this done. It's a judgment. All right, don't even bother trying it. This pattern is going on since I was 14 or 12 or 9. I mean, I've been noticing this for decades. All right, you can't do this. Just drop it. Which makes in a way to make me come and try harder, but it's very like whipping myself up. Uh, and how I would choose look at differently is with just with compassion. Like the opportunity is just from my learning.
And what can you practice trusting?
God,
You can practice trusting A, in the divine design, B, in the divine designer, and C, divine timing. And so what happens if everything that is actually happening to you is actually happening to you in divine time? Okay, that's what's truly happening. Everything that happens in your life is happening in divine timing. It's only when you fail to recognize that where you lack peace or joy or appreciation for whatever it is, whatever is occurring. And so just remember there's someone pretty powerful who's in control, and that someone pretty powerful is the sign of the expression of love itself. And so love will never have you experience something that would truly hurt you. It's only when you turn away from that knowledge that you experience that guilt and shame and all that stuff. And so simply, okay, I'm judging myself for X or Y reason. You know what? I'm judging myself because I'm trusting in the ego's concept of time. Or if it doesn't happen exactly when my ego says it should happen, then I failed. That's a symbol of the ego right there. The idea of failure, the symbol of the ego. Instead, make a conscious decision. Okay, as the course says, I don't know what this is for, but I can consciously choose to trust God. I can consciously choose to trust divine timing. I can consciously choose to trust the divine designer. And when I do so, I have peace. And when I do so, I become the light of the world that God created me to be. And when I do so, I feel fulfilled because I'm fulfilling my function as the light of the world. And so in every moment you can feel that fulfillment, or in every moment you can deny that fulfillment. But guess who is doing it? It's not the outer world. It's your own mind. It's your own choices. So the power resides within you, not out there. The power resides with your decision to choose in alignment with the mind of God. And so just imagine that icebreaker in the Arctic. You can't get through that ice unless you have an icebreaker. And so make God your icebreaker. Let him go forth and you just follow. And when you allow God to break that ice, break the darkness, the path is clear, path is easy, light, and all is good.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Any other comments?
I have to go, guys. I have another Course in Miracles class that I facilitate.
You got it,
So,
brother.
Bye, Mike.
good night, everybody.
See you
Mike.
Sunday, God willing.
About that, Mike.
All right. Any other comments or questions before we head to paragraph 5 and 6?
I want to volunteer to read.
All right, volunteer, go ahead.
The light in you is what the universe longs to behold. All living things are still before you, for they recognize who walks with you. The light you carry is their own, and thus they see in you their holiness, saluting you as Savior and as God. Accept their reverence, for it is due to holiness itself, which walks with you, transforming in its gentle light all things unto its likeness and its purity. This is the way salvation works. As you step back, the light in you steps forward and encompasses the world. It heralds not the end of sin and punishment and death. In lightness and in laughter is sin gone, because its quaint absurdity is seen. It is a foolish thought, a silly dream, not frightening, ridiculous perhaps. But who would waste an instant in approach to God himself for such a senseless whim?
Indeed. God walks with you wherever you go. Just imagine that. If you truly trusted that one thing, if you truly believed in that one thing, that God is always walking hand in hand with you. When would you ever fear or doubt if you knew that God was with you every step along the way? And so anytime a fear or doubt or guilt or shame comes to you, remember that those little games the ego plays are unworthy of you. They're unworthy of God. Would you bring God those things if you knew that he was next to you? Would you entertain those falsities and illusions if you knew that God was with you? No. God is with you. All that's with you is pure light and love. And that's what you're here to do. You're here to show your brothers and sisters that they too can choose the light instead of the darkness. That they too are not alone. And that when you show them those expressions of love, they remember those expressions as they remember themselves as worthy of those expressions. The light in you is what the universe longs to behold. So in every interaction, the light in you is what your brother and sister is awaiting you to share and be. And so that's what you call a call for love. And so your brothers and sisters are simply calling out to you to help them remember who they truly are in each interaction. And that's all you have to do to truly feel fulfilled and to truly feel that you're walking hand in hand with God.
What I think is the most interesting thing about this is I'm always asking for specific concrete strategies. Like, if somebody says, well, you have to forgive, you're like, that's nice. How do I do that? And this is like an exact direction in paragraph 6 when it explains how it says this is how salvation works, because it specifically says, as you step back, the light in you steps forward and encompasses the world. And I take that to mean as I step back means I remove ego and step away from that, and then the light comes forward. But I think that's actual direction. Step away, step away and let the light out.
Yeah.
Step out of the maybe.
This is the way salvation works. And so again, the idea of the icebreaker that we talked about a few minutes ago, okay? As you step back, the light in you steps forward to encompass the world. So you want steps. You want the real step? The real step is called humility. If you are humble and step back and allow God to lead the way, then your path is clear, is forever clear. And you're forever at peace because you know the icebreaker is in control. God is in control of all things and all experiences. And all you have to do is be humble. Step back. God, what would you have me think, say, and do? And then think, say, and do only that. That's it.
I had a bit of a miracle to share.
Right.
My mom last few days was a bit upset that I hadn't spoken with her, and I woke up this morning and she had sent this whole barrage of texts. Oh, you're ignoring me. You make me so sad. It was like the full on enchilada guilt trip text message. I wake up and I'm reading it, and I had no reaction. I'm like, I, it was like zip. Didn't feel anything, nothing like that. I was like, oh, okay. And then later I texted, said, hey, I was busy. The fridge in my apartment broke down. I was getting it fixed. And then later I called her. So it was just like a very flat line. There wasn't any volatility. I didn't, there was no thinking. I didn't like, I have to make an effort not to think this way or that. It was just very, I'm just looking back to right now. It's like, it was just very smooth conversation without me either judging her or not trying to judge her. None of those things happened. It was just like, shh, like that. Otherwise, I would look at the morning and text. I was like, I can show you like, oh, you make me. It's just like on and on, like. And then I said, oh, you should try meditation. Oh, I was wondering what happened. I mean, this is like 3:30 in the morning. She's like, I'm wondering why you saw my messages, you didn't reply a call. This makes me very sad. You have made me very sad. What is wrong? You haven't called me. I like, oh, like on and on and on. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's simply her call for love. And you recognize it as a call for love. And so you responded with love. You saw past the delusion. You didn't dive into the delusion, into the little swampland that was offered to you by the ego. There's a little swampland right over here. And the ego says, hey, take a little dive into the swampland. And you say, you know what? I've done that 100 times before, and I never get clean. And I never feel clean. And so I'm not going to do that this time. I'm just going to see that swampland as a call from her for help and healing. And so I'm just going to offer help and healing. I'm just going to offer the love that I can in whatever form I can. And next time I see her or talk to her or text her. And so when you did that, the delusion faded away. And all that was left is the one path that you walk hand in hand with God. And that's what you're meant to do in each and every situation. Let go of the delusion. Let go of your judgments of self and others. Align with the mind of God. Humble yourself. Ask God, what would you have me think, say, and do? And then think, say, and do only that. So it's simple. It's simple to be aligned with the mind of God. All you have to do is humble yourself and ask God, what should I do now? Love.
Samir, that's great. That really was a miracle. I don't think I would have reacted like that if I got a string of texts saying, you're ignoring me, you made me sad, all of that stuff from your mom. That's amazing. That is a miracle.
That is a miracle. That's the definition of a miracle. The shift in perception from fear to love.
It's just normally it's like either you're judging or you're trying not to judge, and your brain's like a zzz, and I was like, nothing. I was like, it's 3:30. I'm not texting in the morning. 3:30 in the morning. I go back to sleep, and I text her when I woke up. Because I know if I text at 3:30, then the next thing, why didn't you call me? And then she's like, oh wait, she doesn't know that it's 3:30 in the morning here. It's 2 p.m. there, so she thinks if it's 2 p.m. there, then it should be 2 p.m. here. So that's it.
Yes. Yeah, so Wendy, you like steps. So that's a good step right there. Step
I
back.
like concrete things. That is a real step. I mean, it's a good visual, a good image, but also it is directions. Get out of the way. Get out of your way. Get out. Just pull the ego out of the way and just let, that part of you that what this says is your holiness, which is the God in you. Let that lead the way. Why would you want anything else to lead the way anyway? Just takes you in the wrong direction.
Amen.
That is my dog complaining. Sorry, everybody, if you hear that. That is not me. I have a little dog next to me who's mad she's not getting attention.
Yeah. So yeah, those are perfect steps. Step back and humble yourself and invite God. God, what would you have me think, say, and do? And then think, say, and do only that. Pretty simple. And those are steps that you can use. Any other comments or questions for paragraph one?
So inviting God as to what, asking God what I should say and do is the process of humbling yourself.
Yeah, because you're putting the ego, your little ego, aside. So it's humbling yourself and saying, I can allow the truth in me to answer this. The ego doesn't have to answer this now. Because the Course says the ego answers first and loudest. And so the ego's gonna try to take control, but just step back, invite God in, and let God lead the way. Because God is always with you. All you have to do is ask, and He will answer. Love will answer. And then the more you answer with love, the more natural this connection to God will become, more natural and normal. And so the quicker that response will come to you, the more you practice. And then love will be your only response. And love is our only true response, to be honest with you. There's nothing else that's real. Any other comments or questions? Alrighty then. Would somebody like to read paragraph 7 and 8 to close out?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yet you have wasted many, many years on just this foolish thought. The past is gone with all its fantasies. They keep you bound no longer. The approach to God is near, and in the little interval of doubt that still remains, you may perhaps lose sight of your companion and mistake him for the senseless ancient dream that now is past. Who walks with me? This question should be asked 1,000 times a day, till certainty has ended doubting and established peace. Today, let doubting cease. God speaks for you in answering your question with these words: I walk with God in perfect holiness. I light the world, I light my mind, and all the minds which God created one with me.
Yes. Comments or questions? Last two paragraphs. The past, sentence number 2, paragraph 7. The past is gone with all its fantasies. They keep you bound no longer. The approach to God is near. And so ask yourself, paragraph 8, who walks with me? This question should be asked 1,000 times a day. Who walks with me? So in every interaction, before every interaction, during every interaction, before you speak, while you're speaking, ask yourself, who walks with me? What am I here to do? I'm here to be light, to be love, How do I do it? I step back and let God lead the way. God, what do you have me think, say, and do? And then think, say, and do only that 1,000 times a day. Before any reaction you have, practice remembering or asking yourself, who walks with me? What am I really here to do? I'm here to be the light of the world that God created me to be in this very moment, with these very people who God sent my way. Out of 8 billion people, God sent his children to me. And God sent his children to you not because he doubts you, but because he trusts you. And so if you've had children, you don't trust them to it, just anybody. And so when anybody comes to you, anybody at all, stranger, friend, that's a symbol and a sign of God's trust in you. And so don't slap God in the face. God is trusting you with his children. So answer his children's call for love with love. And that's all they're doing. If they're not loving you, they're just calling out for love. And so answer God's children, the children that he is entrusting you with love, each and every time. Comments or questions?
I just did lesson 41. This lesson is very similar. God goes with me wherever I go.
Yeah.
And there's a line in this lesson. It says, its effects cannot be cured because the problem is not real. It talks about the separated ones have invented many cures for what they believe to be the ills of the world, and its effect cannot be cured. The problem is not real. It was very powerful. We just made it up.
Yes.
Nothing can destroy your peace of mind because God goes with you wherever you go.
That is true. If you focus,
And when,
yeah,
and
go
when
ahead.
when we're saying it's not real, we mean basically that it's temporary. And from what we're just reading about, the past is gone. See, the problem is that what we're worrying about and what we're thinking about and what we're taking ourselves through is something that's already come and gone. It's already come and gone. But I'm dwelling on this thing and I'm letting it bother me. And I think and then I'm blaming that thing, person, place, or thing out there for what I'm experiencing right now. But the fact is I'm doing this to myself. I'm thinking all these thoughts based on something that's already occurred, and I'm making it real now. And I'm hurting myself with it now. And in this moment, I'm making that my God. I'm putting in quotation marks. I'm making that my God. That's not my God. God's will for me is perfect happiness. And in remembering that, who walks with me? Wait, call on the Holy Spirit. That's my time to remember that I have a choice as to which way I'm going to go with this. I have a decision to make. Holy Spirit is a decision. The ego is a decision. Do I want to be in pain? That's the question. What do I want? Every response I make is determined by what I think I am. That's the Course says. Every response you make is determined by what you think you are. And if I think I'm this body, and if I think you're a body, then yeah, you can hurt me and I can hurt you and all that stuff. But the truth is that spirit can't be hurt. And when I remember and I remember and I remember that I am spirit, I am spirit, I am spirit, you are spirit. Spirits, even if you don't know your spirit, I can know from my perspective. I know that spirit and what's coming out of them is that call for love. It's still all love, a call for love that we call fear. It's their call for love, and it's and to the best of my ability is to respond with it, to extend love. And if I can't do that, then I need to just step back and let God lead the way, because then what's going to happen is one call for love versus another call for love. Now you got an argument or what have you. All kind of stuff is going on, and it's all this tension. But that's when I have forgotten what I am. I have to start from principle. I have to start from the place knowing there is no past, that everything that's bothering me is based on something that's already come and gone. Everything. I'm spirit. They are too. I may be aware in the moment, I may not. But as I come to myself, I realize that this whole oneness thing that we keep talking about has nothing to do with the body. Nothing. I'm complete.
Paragraph 7, sentence 2, the past is gone with all its fantasies. Sentence 3, they keep you bound no longer. So just let go of the past and come into the holy instant, where the peace and joy of God forever reside. And then be that peace and joy for others. Help them see that there is a better way. That there is a way to peace. That there is a way to be in the light God created them to be in each and every moment. Because that's all that exists is the holy instant, the now. Forgive the past. Place the future in God's hands. Return to the now. And offer the light that God is asking you to offer. Listen to the moment in the holy instant. Listen to what the holy instant is requesting from you. What expression, ask yourself, what expression of love is the holy instant requesting from me right now? And then be that. That's what all you have to do within the holy instant. Be in the holy instant. Listen. What expression of love is the holy instant requesting from me? And then be that. And in doing so, you will see that you're walking hand in hand with perfect holiness with God. You'll be a symbol and a sign to all your brothers and sisters that they too can choose the truth instead of the dream. They too can awaken instead of remain asleep. They too can be joyous instead of sad and depressed. Any final comments or questions before we close?
I have something.
Yes.
This is making me think of, and I'm not sure how well it's connected, but since I'm thinking of it, it must be connected somehow. Of something I read a long time ago that said, what you will not put upon the altar, you have put upon the throne. And so I think about that with the ego mostly, like right now, like, whatever you're not willing to sacrifice, you're making it control you. That's your king or queen. If you're not willing to lay it down, money, whatever it is. And for me, I think that works very well with the idea of ego, that you have to be willing to sacrifice the ego, whatever you think it does for you. You have to be willing to lay it down, sacrifice it, or you've made it your ruler. And that's not who should be ruling us. So it needs to be sacrificed. And I don't know, it goes along with last week when I jokingly said, but really real, I never thought that feeling unspecial could feel this good. Like everything is sort of in reverse of the way I perceived it in accordance with this course. The things that mattered the most now are the things that I would like to get rid of the most. And just, I think that whole idea of not the ego is, I mean, in Kabbalah, they call it the opponent. You can't truly kill it, but you can sacrifice it and say, you don't get to lead, you get to follow because you're not leadership material. That's what I would say about my ego. Not leadership material. Unless you think a 5-year-old child should be leading, this ego should not be leading.
Exactly. You have the choice.
So James, is ego about instant gratification and God about delayed gratification?
Well, the ego is about a gratification that's not real or true, and so it never lasts. Whatever the ego offers you as a trophy, it will never last. It will never bring you true lasting joy. It will never bring you true lasting peace. It can throw a little bit of peace here and a little joy here, but it's never lasting. It's called a false idol. Everything the ego delivers to you is a false idol, a golden calf that does nothing.
Don't you say for the ego seek and do not find?
Yep, that's the course. The egos is seek but do not find. And so yeah, the ego will have you seek and seek for its things, but it's never going to deliver to you what you truly have always wanted. It will never deliver you true everlasting peace, true everlasting joy, comfort, a knowledge that you're truly, your God is always your companion. God is always by your side. God is always with you. You are God's representative on earth. And you're here to remind all others that they too can choose that way. That they no longer need to fall into the pit. That they no longer need to be blind. That they can now finally truly see. By simply being who they were created to be. The loving light of the world. Each one of us. No matter how asleep those people may be, they're the loving light of the world. Sooner or later, they'll get tired of their false idols. Sooner or later, they'll get tired of searching but not finding. And then you'll be there as an example that there is a better way. And that they're worthy of that better way. And that's all we have to do to make God happy. Knowing that we're doing what He created us to do. All right, any final comments or questions before we close? Good.
That was a very helpful class. Thank you so much.
Yeah, all right.
James.
Thank you, Sulma. Thank you, Samir. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Maite.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. And God
Have a
willing,
good
we'll see each
night.
other in this Course in Miracles next Wednesday. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.